Good evening and welcome to
The Voice of Her.
I am Vakisha Fripp.
And I am Patrice Johnson.
And together with our good friend Hope, we are a group of women coming together to share our experiences, laugh a little bit,
and share some of our intimate conversations.
Yep.
So on today's show, we're going to talk about friendships.
Friends.
So tonight, we just want to pick a few topics, pick your brain, or maybe just share, rehash a conversation that maybe we've shared between our girlfriends, or maybe you've shared amongst yours. So let's talk about it. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so the first one is a bit juicy. At least what I like. We are on opposite sides of this. When is it okay, if ever, to date your friend's ex? So we use the example of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm originally from Atlanta, though DC is my home. And so Portia and Fallon were on the show. I don't know that they were friends, but clearly associates in each other's homes, in each other's lives, seen each other's spouse. And then when their respective relationships broke up, Portia found herself with Fallon's husband. And so we asked, when is it appropriate, if ever? And my answer is never.
Just but never.
Never.
So obviously that is could be considered a loaded question, right? Mm-hmm. So I would pose the question, or have posed the question to her. Does that include all exes?
Yes.
As you can see, she answers so quickly. What if you had not been intimate with the ex?
If he has my phone number and ever called me, he belongs to me, and you are not to date him. Just because. I just feel like there's so many men. See, I never subscribed to that there's a shortage of men. I've never subscribed to that. And I've always found men, or men have found me. Now, they haven't always been amazing, clearly, because I find myself single. Though I'm in a relationship, Brian. But I still say, I don't think there's a shortage of men. So I feel like, why are we recycling? And that's when things get dicey. Because then when I see you out with him, I already know some things about him. You're my girl. Choose somebody else.
Choose somebody else. Well,
but your opinion is different, because you said.
Yes, I said, like, typically you have 1, 2, maybe 3. Like, you pick 1 or 2 that are off limits.
Okay.
Because, like you said, they all have been amazing. We ran the gamut, or enough time has passed that I may not care as much. And, you know, if you take that further, do you think your feelings would change if you were married?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I definitely would change. Like, I think once you get married, that cleans the slate. Now, it does not mean that I want to, right?
Right.
But if I had, because obviously how I feel about another person doing it does not mean that I would necessarily do it, right?
Right.
But I will say, if it was like some weird chance where I ended up somewhere and this guy and we had chemistry, and I found out he had dated you, and let's say, you know, you guys had dated like back, you know, when you were in college. And maybe it kind of lasted maybe 6 months. It depends on what you would tell me. I would definitely ask you or let you know, or get your thoughts. And then based on what you told me, I would decide if I'm, you know, want to continue with
you don't have to ask me.
No, friend, I have to ask, because you already said, because the answer is no.
If you say, hey, y'all start to know each other, who do you know? Who do you know? You know your doctor, blah, blah, blah. You say, hey, you know Vakisha Fripp? Yeah, I know her. Hey, we went out a few times, but ooh, let's go ahead and get the check.
Let's go.
We shouldn't be in this phase.
Okay, so what happens if the two people they've been, you know, hanging out for a minute before they realize they had mutual friends?
I mean, then you just have to end it. I mean, I found myself in that situation. I met this guy and I thought he was just an Adonis. I mean, just a beautiful guy. He was so funny. We got along so well. And he said, hey, you're from Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. And he was like, hey, you know X? And I'm like, uh-oh. Now, how do you know her? And he was like, you know, we went out a few times. So I was like, oh, you could have been the one. Well, let's go ahead and finish up tonight. And that wraps it up for us. Because for me, he had been with her. Now, I don't go deep. I didn't ask him what their relationship was. Had they been intimate? But they clearly had gone out and talked and getting the same information that I have about him. I just don't want to be in that space. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't date anybody who's dated any of the grits. I just don't move like that. I don't think the grits should date anybody I've dated. I think we all have different tastes anyway. So I don't know that would come up. I think it has come up between 1 or 2 grits in the past, but we were so much younger then. And at our age now, I don't think it would be an issue. But if it is, the answer is no.
If there's a question, the answer is no.
If there's a question, the answer is
yeah,
no.
I mean, sometimes it's best just to kind of have a cut and dry answer like this.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm probably going to want to know who the guy is,
Okay.
right? So it's going to depend on what, I mean, for me, I know right off the bat who the one or two may be, right?
Okay.
I kind of know that. And actually with one of our friends, Hopi, who's a part of this, and we'll probably talk about this later in a later session, but we had that conversation, not for each of us, but just in general, like, do you have someone that's off limits?
Off limits.
Now, Hope is now happily married,
Yep.
so that's that. However, meanwhile, I'm still single, so yes. But again, I do understand though from the perspective of I don't know if I want or would be, I shouldn't say want, like I don't know if I could proceed in a relationship with someone who I know, especially if that person, my friend, was in a relationship.
Right.
Like that, it would be a little awkward because we hang out, we come to each other's
see
house,
each other
we keep
all
each
the
other's
time.
kids.
That's right.
I got a bunch of nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
So it would be awkward at the potluck. Like, is this the same?
Yeah.
I'm making an inside joke here. Is
Yeah.
this the same almond pound cake we made? But that's not the case. So it'll get a little weird, like, dang, you used to make this for me. Like, So I certainly,
that straight.
so while I may not have, like you said, even though we're on opposite sides, I do understand that because I wouldn't necessarily do that.
Right.
But if a friend did, I would give her the
Patrice,
clear.
there are men out there. I know people
They
say,
are.
there's a limited number of men, and when you get to be a professional or a certain age and certain status, that you have slimmer pickings. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Maybe because I have brothers and I have, male friends. And so that segues into our next question, the whole male friends.
Yes.
So we're going to go forward with the next question is, what do you do with your guy friend when you get into a relationship? Is he still your plus one when you go out? Before you would take him to all the concerts. Before you all coordinated events, coordinated outfits. Now you got a beau. So when is it his time?
Well, I definitely think a lot of that would have to change. Now, I've never coordinated an outfit with my guy friend.
Okay.
Not intentionally. Well, I guess that would be coordinating. But anyway, I do think the dynamic of that relationship will change. Now, it does not mean he will not be my friend, right? Because that's my friend. But I do think there are maybe boundaries that you may have to create depending on, the relationship. And I don't know, people may or may not agree with this. Some of it's going to depend on your significant other, right? Because,
You need to know what their needs are with how they move.
Yeah, you all wish that they would meet and they would get along, like Earl and, B, I mean?
I didn't even think about Earl. You know what's so funny? Earl is so different from me, and he's one of my best friends. He is just a friend, and I think everyone who meets us knows he is my friend. No one ever thought or thinks we're more than that. Maybe just how we joke, how we move. We are friends. So whenever a man comes into my life, they see him as just being that. I don't know why, but I've never had any sticky situations with Earl. There have been situations with other men in my life who have been my plus one when I've gone to galas and stuff around the city, and I get into a relationship, or I enter into a relationship. They're like, so who is this dude? I'm like, I don't know. This just my plus one. Oh no, we were just together because I didn't have anybody. They're like, I'm like, no, seriously. And that person has felt some kind of way having to fall back. Like, wait a minute, now that you're with him, we're not going to be able to go to this stuff together, because they don't want to be in a throuple. Right? They don't want to be.
I'm a serial thruppler.
You are a serial thruppler, but not with two men and you.
Well, no.
You usually are thruppling with your girlfriend and their significant other. So
That's
two girls and a man is sort of different than two guys and a girl.
Very
so I found that, and I've had to make a tough choice once before, and I chose the new beau. I don't know if that was the right decision. I look back on it with a little bit of regret, but both men are out of my life at this point now. But I do wish I could have saved space and carved out space for both of them, because they both were important to me.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect scenario, right? When your friends, even your girlfriends, like when they become friends with your significant other, your beau, your spouse, it makes it easier. It's the vibe. But then, like you said, there are those moments where the person could be either or, right? And they just, and sometimes you don't do anything. They'll then kind of remove themselves from the situation, which, I mean, you could say that's easier, but I do think it's like one of those situations you have to assess. Like, I don't think there's a, there's a cookie cutter answer at all. I think you have to assess. And some of it is where you are in life, where that person is. Sometimes it's different too. If the guy has female friends, they tend to understand a little bit more. Right. So I think
But see, I wouldn't want him to have a whole bunch of female friends. I have to go meet them one by one.
What's a whole bunch?
One.
Okay. Do you have one guy friend?
Multiple.
Wait.
But see, I've never been friends with a guy and crossed the line. That's just not my thing. Okay. So if you are my friend, we are strictly friends. We're not, we have never dated. We're not dating. We're not doing anything other than being friends. But I think that if my beau said he had a whole bunch of female friends, just run them by me first. Just pass them through me so I can talk to them. Just to make sure they know, right? He is now in a relationship. This is what relationships mean to me. I think that's fair. And so there'll be times when he'll be unavailable, like after 9 every day and not before 9 a.m. in the morning. So if you run into an emergency, you have to now call someone else. So that's the kind of conversation I need to have with them. So, but there'd be no need for him to have those conversations with anybody in my life because I want you to supplant them and create that space just for you.
I understand that. So would you be okay with him having a conversation with your guy friend, or you feel like he doesn't need to?
Oh God, I would have no problem with that. And the guys who are my friends would have no problem with that either. No.
Now, so we often talk about when you make space or you have to carve out space, and what could be sometimes considered as the awkwardness when you have male friends. But what happens when you have that girlfriend who's supposed to be happy for you, supposed to be, or who you'd like to be? I shouldn't say supposed to be. You want to be a little bit supportive. Do you feel any different? Why, if your girlfriend feels like, well, dang, like it used to be us, now it's y'all.
I think that is the hope that I have for all my girlfriends, that they would be in a relationship and that their time would have to change and their priorities would shift away from me. I think that's all of our hope for the grits that we're in, all the friends, not just, I mean, from college to training to living in DC, New York, Atlanta, for all my friends, my hope is that they would partner up with somebody and go through life with a partner. So if that means then my time with them is truncated, I'm okay with that. I do know that is not reciprocated. And I found myself in those situations as well, that when I got into a relationship, my friends like, oh, you don't have time for us no more. Well, I really don't. But you said it, right? I don't have to say it if you said it. It's not that I don't have time for you. I'm trying to give my all and see what this relationship, what comes of this. And I can't do that because I have so many other things going on that I would hope that you would understand, because I honestly understand. Yeah. It's what my hope is for us to be partnered up. This life is best traveled in pairs. So.
Oh, I would agree with that. But I do think in another of our conversations, you talked about carving out time and space. Yeah. And I do believe, that space just may not look the same, or maybe it's not. Maybe we're not together as much, but it does not mean you're not a part of my life.
No, you're still important to me.
You're still important. Like you're needed, right?
Because when I have to talk about him to somebody, I'm gonna call you. I still need you to pick up the phone when I talk about him. So please.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, the dynamics of relationships, friendships change sometimes just with life. Whether it's kids, careers, all of it can cause things to go in a different trajectory, right? So it's really about, like, there are some friends you probably haven't talked to in years, but y'all can pick up the phone and just or go out to Shoto and have a cocktail. Y'all be there. They be like, man, we need our table back.
And even men and women, because I trained with people. When you train in any medical specialty, you just become bonded to the people in that way, because that trauma bonds you. Yeah. So I was telling Patrice that a friend of mine called me. He lives in Wisconsin now. He called me by mistake. And so then I called him back. He was like, oh, I didn't want anything. I called you by mistake. I said, okay, well, love you. Talk to you later. He said, well, since I got 5 minutes, let's just talk. We talked as if we had been back at Howard, sitting at the nurse's station, writing our morning notes. Like, it was that easy, because that's what friends do. But let me ask you this. What about that messy friend? What about that friend who laughs at your expense one too many times, always has something to say about what you have on, always has something to share with you about somebody else. And I give the example of Molly on Insecure. I think she was incapable of being the friend that Issa Rae needed her to be. But what do you do with that friend? They clearly have some qualities you like because you put them in the friend basket. What do you do with them when you realize you are a little messy bus?
Not a messy bus.
A little messy bus.
I mean, I think it's wow. It's so hard to say because the answer that I'm giving you now may not be the answer would have given you 10 years ago or even 20 years ago, right? But obviously, as we get older, as we go through life, as we go through things, your tolerance become less. Now, I'm not saying that it means that you would like not be friends with a person, but I certainly think it would probably make me handle our relationship.
How would you do it? Like what?
I mean, in the words of my grandmother, maybe feed him with a long handled spoon. You know what I mean? Because the thing,
Okay.
you know, like it would really have to be, you know, obviously, unless there's boundaries that are crossed where I have to be like, you know what, maybe
We can't do this
we
at all.
can't do this. And maybe I don't even know if I would say that. I probably just kind of just chill a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't call as often, maybe that kind of thing. Because I feel like I'm a good friend, right? I feel like I am your biggest cheerleader. I'm your hype man.
Yeah.
I'm your wing woman.
Yeah.
I'm whatever you need to go, you know, I mean, you know, let a little air out the tire. We probably can't keep nobody car. We're a little too old for that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we use the word ride or die, but like, I'm with you. I'm your support. But I'm also that friend that I would say, look, before we do this now, let me tell you, I should be able to tell you maybe where you are wrong in the situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or where our positions may differ. It does not mean I don't support you, but whatever it is, there's never a reason for me to put you down in any way. I just don't feel that.
Yeah.
Even in a joking way. Yeah. I mean, we may have our own inside jokes, but I also have to be careful what I say in front of other people.
That's right.
Right? So the way that we talk, you know, obviously off camera and here we joke, and I'm not going to do the same thing in front of other people. And to me, sometimes, I don't know, it's really hard because sometimes it's really not the person. There's usually something going on with them, which is the part that makes me sad.
So we're different in that way.
She said, I think it's the person.
There are just messy people, right?
No,
And
that's true.
I am okay with that.
Why?
Do that long handle spoon until I'm tired of holding the spoon, and then I'm done. Yeah. And the problem is I'm a Cancer, so I'm incredibly sensitive. So everything is a slight to me. So I know that, and so I just really move very softly, because everything slights me. But then when something is obviously intentional and you do it and it's repetitive, then I recognize there is nothing that I will be able to do to change you, and that's who you are.
That is true.
And then I decide for myself that I'm done. There'll be nothing that you can do to come back, because I close doors. And that's not something that I'm proud of, but I close doors because I've been so blessed to have so many friends. I don't have to keep going on with this, because obviously there's something about me that brings out that nasty, negative you. So therefore, let me remove myself so that you can take that energy somewhere else.
Right.
I don't think that sometimes we have things happen to us and we just have a negative day. If all your days are negative, all our experiences together are negative, that is who you are.
Yeah.
And that may be good for other messy people, but I think I turned a corner. Maybe, I mean, I'm 26 now. So maybe it was 25.
A day over 25.
Thank you, Pooh. So maybe it was 25. No, it was 45. I think something happened at 45 in me that I just realized I just want to be positive, and not like this fake positive while I'm zen, meditating all day. That's not me. I don't have enough time to do that. But if I don't put forward positive energy, I realize I will not receive positive energy. And so I don't want to hear about who's sleeping with who. I don't want to hear about whose child went to jail. I don't want to hear about any of that stuff. Just say a prayer for them and keep it to yourself. I don't want to be the one receiving this gossip and negative energy. So I've made the decision in my life, those people who are messy, I'm gonna go ahead and let you be messy somewhere else.
Yeah. And I you know what, and I want to say, just, you know, to balance out the conversation for those who are listening, like, everybody likes a little piece of tea, right?
Yeah,
but there's a line, there's a boundary where it should not be all the time, or I'm not like just like my every being is sitting around either being able to share it before I can even get it. Like that's just not me. So I totally understand that. But at the same time, you know, I agree with what you said though about like when you're being messy, like it's usually has a lot to do with the person in their nature, if you will, for whatever reason.
Or whatever. Yeah.
But I agree. I don't really have a lot of tolerance for it. Yeah. I think we agree on that.
Okay, so then this is our closing question. I know you all miss us. you're going to miss us terribly when this is over. But don't worry, we'll have recurrent podcasts. So
Yeah, we'll be back.
would you be your own friend?
I would be my own friend.
Okay,
I
tell
think
me
I'm
why.
a good friend. I think I'm loyal.
Okay.
I think I'm honest.
That's important.
Yeah, I think I'm honest. I think I move with integrity in relationships.
Okay.
I think I extend a level of grace. I allow you a space to be you until it does not work for who I am. A little bit of what you talk about. And I think I'm fun. I'm a turn
I think you're super fun. I think you're a lot of fun. You're fast. You're witty. Your comebacks are appropriate and they're hilarious. So
you,
I
Fred.
love that. I mean, you are very funny, and I
you.
think that you've proven yourself to be loyal. That's not
thank
something that
you.
anybody who knows who you are would question that.
Wow, thank you.
I am incredibly funny, but I don't try to be funny, which is
You
people
are
think that I'm
freaking
trying to be, but I'm not trying to be
hilarious.
funny. I also
That's what makes it funny. You're just having a real moment.
I know, but the problem with that is this is just the thoughts in my mind. This crazy stuff is just going on all the time. Because of what I do for a living, I can't show people that. I have to present myself as a certain way. So when I get home and around my friends and I take this mask off, it is like showtime at the Apollo because I'm able to let my thoughts come through. And that's what I love about being around my friends. Like you all think it's me being crazy. It's just me being the true person I am.
We just think you're funny. Like you don't come across as like somebody who may get up on a stage at improv and tell a joke.
I couldn't do that.
You're natural, hilarious. Like you said, you're very positive. You're very supportive.
I try to be.
You are very quick to respond to a need.
Yeah.
Like you don't, I mean, you're always about how can I support you? What can I do?
True.
Absolutely. Don't buy, like, it's just like, it's refreshing. It's easy being around you. You're welcoming, you're nurturing.
I'm
See, like,
easy.
all of those
I'm
things.
easy.
And you have a great perspective. You know, I'll call you in a minute. Like you get straight to the point. And it has nothing to do with your own agenda. You're like,
No.
look, this is, I remember one time I was asking you a question. You may not remember this, like about something. You was like, look, you remember you got a wish book when you were little? You remember you told me that? She said, sometimes you have to just flip through and see what you want and what you don't want. I can't remember what I said, but I just remember you giving a very relatable, like, who didn't look at the Sears wish book when they were little, like the catalog, the Christmas book or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you are on it. 100%. But that's also why we've been friends for like 20 plus years, right? So.
I think though that we're the friends we talked about who we may not talk every day.
Correct.
But when we talk, it's if it were yesterday, right? And if I ever need anything, there are people who I can call, and you're one of them, and that's what's important to me.
You're one of mine. Thank you.
Friends, we like the Brandy song, right? Always be my best friend. That's the extent of what you're gonna get because I haven't tuned my voice yet, and this is not hot tea. See, if I had the hot tea, then I'd be able to go on with that, but I had to stop it. So again, we are the voice of her. I'm Keisha Fripp.
I'm Patrice Johnson,
and we look forward to sharing our thoughts. Make sure you tune in next time because we're gonna talk about a little deeper topics. Okay, like hair, which is my favorite.
Right. Thank you for tuning in to our conversation. Remember, keep the conversation going.
I love it.